Okay, so today we're going to have a look at measuring voltages across a capacitor in a series RC network using Proteus and Multisim. So on Proteus here we have the series circuit. We'll open up the oscilloscope and we can see the resistor voltage in phase with the series current and the supply voltage, but we can't see the capacitor voltage. So we want to be able to see either side of the capacitor, but neither of the supply nor resistor voltages give us the capacitor voltage. So we could put in channel C and channel D each side of the capacitor, but this way is a little bit more neat. So channel C and channel D have either side of the capacitor, but we need C plus D, but D needs to be negative, so we invert channel D and add it to C, and this is how we do it. So under channel C and channel D we need to invert channel D and we need to add it to C, so that gives us C plus minus D, which is C minus D. It's basically the voltage across the capacitor using two channels on the scope, and there you can see it in red. Or the red one is the capacitor voltage, the blue one is the resistor voltage, and the yellow one is the supply voltage, which is the sum of the two. We did it by inverting one side and adding it to the other to give one take away the other for the capacitor. Now on Multisim we can do the same thing. We have a capacitor and resistor and a sine wave generator. So if we just add a voltage probe for the supply voltage and a voltage probe for the resistor voltage, some people would think that would give us the capacitor voltage, but it doesn't. It only gives us the supply and the resistor voltage, as you can see when you simulate. So you click simulate, go to grapher. You can change the trigger sometimes, but the easiest way to see all of your graph is to pause the simulation, scroll down, and when you click zoom all, it zooms all the axes. So we can see the supply voltage in green and the resistor one in blue. But let's change the time base because we're at 100 Hertz, between 20 and 50 milliseconds. So here we can see the blue resistor voltage and the green supply voltage, but we can't see the capacitor voltage. And it's difficult to do unless we use the same trick as we did in Proteus. We want to see the left-hand side of the capacitor take away the right-hand side, or the left-hand side in relation to the right-hand side. So we need to add a voltage reference point, because most probes are with reference to ground, but we don't want that here. We want the left-hand side of the capacitor voltage to be referenced to the right-hand side, so we can see the voltage or potential difference across the capacitor with this purple probe. So we scroll and we make sure we change the reference point from ground to the reference point that we chose, called Ref1 by default. Then when we simulate, we only need to look at a few milliseconds. So pause it, go to grapher, and there we can see the capacitor voltage in purple. We tidied up a bit, looking at a nice frame of time. So there's the resistor voltage in phase with the series current. There's the supply voltage, which is the sum of the other two, and there is the voltage across the capacitor, which is the capacitor voltage. And that's how we do that.